I should have seen it coming the moment Richard and Dolores Harper walked into my son's 7th birthday party with their usual air of superiority. After 15 years as a federal benefits investigator for the Social Security Administration, I developed a sixth sense for people who viewed government assistance as their personal piggy bank. I just never imagined my own in-laws would be among them. Tommy was racing around our backyard in his wheelchair. His cerebral palsy made some activities challenging, but his infectious laughter filled the air. I was refilling the punch bowl when Richard appeared beside me, his expensive cologne clashing with the smell of birthday cake. "Lisa, we need to talk," he said, his voice carrying that familiar condescension. Privately, I glanced at my husband Jake, helping Tommy open presents. "Can it wait until after the party? This is Tommy's day." "This concerns Tommy." Dolores materialized beside me like a perfectly coiffed vulture. "We've been thinking about his future, and frankly, we're concerned about how you're managing his benefits." The punch ladle froze in my hand. Tommy received $1,847 monthly in SSI disability benefits, plus additional support for medical equipment and therapy. As his representative payee, I managed every penny with meticulous care. "I'm not sure what you mean," I said. "Oh, come now." Richard's laugh was sharp. "Jake mentioned you've been struggling financially, the mortgage, Tommy's medical bills, your car repairs. Meanwhile, that disability money just sits earning nothing." I set down the ladle carefully, my investigator instincts prickling. "Tommy's benefits are managed according to federal guidelines." "That's exactly the problem," Dolores said with false concern. "You're thinking small. We have investment experience, property management expertise. We could make that money work harder." Richard pulled out a manila folder. "We're proposing a simple solution, a power of attorney arrangement. We become Tommy's representative payees, manage his benefits professionally, and ensure maximum returns." I opened the folder, scanning legal documents they prepared without consulting me. "You want to take control of Tommy's disability benefits. We want to optimize them," Dolores corrected smoothly. "Face it, Lisa, you're barely keeping your head above water, and we have experience handling finances. This family's wealth shouldn't be squandered through poor management." The condescension sparked something cold in my chest. In 15 years investigating benefits fraud, I'd heard this speech countless times. The entitled relatives viewing disability payments as family assets, the manipulative guardians treating vulnerable people as income sources. "I appreciate your concern," I said carefully, "but Tommy's benefits are being managed appropriately." Richard's expression hardened. "Are they? From where we're standing, it looks like you're hoarding government money while Tommy lives in this cramped house with secondhand equipment. We could provide so much more." "The benefits are for Tommy's care and future," I repeated, "not for real estate investments or family business ventures." "Don't be naive," Dolores snapped. "That money comes from taxpayers. We're taxpayers. We have every right to ensure it's being used efficiently." I closed the folder and handed it back. "I need time to review this proposal." "What's to review?" Richard's voice rose, drawing glances. "We're offering to take a burden off your shoulders and provide Tommy with better opportunities. Unless you're being selfish about control. Every parent of a disabled child lives with the constant fear of not doing enough. But I'd spent too many years investigating benefit fraud to miss the red flags waving frantically. I'll need to consult with Tommy's care team and review legal implications," I said diplomatically. "This isn't a decision to make lightly." "His care team?" Dolores laughed harshly. "We're talking about money management, not medical decisions. You're overthinking this." "Am I?" "Because transferring representative payee status affects Tommy's eligibility, future planning, and federal compliance requirements." Richard waved dismissively. "Technicalities we can handle. We're offering professional management." "What kind of professional experience do you have with disability benefits administration?" The question caught them off guard. Richard cleared his throat. "We've managed various portfolios, property investments, business ventures, family trusts. But specifically disability benefits, SSI regulations, representative payee responsibilities under federal law. Those are bureaucratic details," Dolores said impatiently. "The important thing is maximizing Tommy's resources." I nodded thoughtfully. "Let me make some calls and do some research. I want to understand all the implications before deciding." "Fine," Richard said curtly, "but don't take too long." Tommy's needs can't wait while you overthink every detail. They left shortly after, their departure creating a noticeable lightening of the party atmosphere. That evening, after Tommy was settled in bed, I sat in my home office staring at my computer screen. As a federal benefits investigator, I had access to databases revealing information most people never imagined existed. I typed in Richard and Dolores Harper's names and waited. What I found made my blood run cold. Richard had been receiving Social Security disability benefits for a claimed back injury for 8 years. Monthly payments totaled $2,134. According to his file, he was unable to work due to chronic pain and mobility limitations. Dolores had been collecting unemployment benefits intermittently for 5 years, claiming job searches while receiving $447 weekly during benefit periods. But their social media told a different story. Richard's Facebook was filled with golf tournaments, hiking trips, and construction projects around their lakefront property. Last month, he posted roofing photos captioned, "Nothing like physical labor to clear your head." 2 weeks ago, there were pictures of him loading heavy furniture while helping their daughter relocate. Dolores' Instagram documented various business ventures, catering, an online boutique, a consulting firm. She regularly posted about client meetings, vendor negotiations, and successful sales. Her LinkedIn profile boasted of entrepreneurial success and a thriving small business portfolio. I leaned back, the pieces falling into place with sickening clarity. They weren't interested in helping Tommy. They wanted access to his benefits while fraudulently collecting their own. Adding his $1,847 monthly SSI to their existing fraudulent income would give them over $4,000 a month in government assistance, money they clearly didn't need. I spent 3 hours documenting everything, screenshots of social media posts, cross-references with benefit payment dates, and business registration records contradicting their reported income. By midnight, I had a comprehensive file any federal prosecutor would salivate over. I dug deeper using legitimate investigative channels. Property records showed 3 rental properties generating substantial monthly income. Business licenses revealed multiple active enterprises under various LLCs. Tax lien searches uncovered deliberate income underreporting strategies. Richard and Dolores weren't struggling financially. They were professional fraudsters, systematically stealing from federal assistance programs while building comfortable lifestyles on taxpayers' backs. On Monday morning, I requested a meeting with my supervisor, Janet Rodriguez, a sharp woman who'd built her career rooting out benefits fraud with surgical precision. "How's Tommy?" she greeted me warmly. "He's great, but I'm here about a potential fraud case. It's complicated." Janet's expression shifted to professional alertness. "Complicated how?" I explained carefully, maintaining objectivity despite the personal nature. Janet listened without interruption, occasionally jotting notes. "Jesus, Lisa, your in-laws?" That's why I wanted to discuss it first. Conflict of interest concerns. Janet shook her head firmly. "This is exactly what we need to pursue aggressively. Multi-program fraud, ongoing deception, clear evidence of unreported income. The fact that they tried involving you makes it even more brazen. So we should proceed." "We should have proceeded yesterday. How much in fraudulent benefits, roughly?" I consulted my notes. Conservatively, over $200,000 across 8 years. Just SSI and unemployment. It could be significantly higher, factoring in rental properties and Medicaid claims. Janet whistled softly. "Federal fraud charges, potential prison time, full restitution. Lisa, this could be career-making. It could also destroy family relationships. With people stealing from disabled children and unemployed workers." Janet's voice carried steel. "You've spent 15 years protecting program integrity. Don't let personal relationships compromise that now." She was right. I built my career on the principle that benefits fraud hurts everyone. The truly needy denied resources, taxpayers funding the programs, the entire social safety net depending on public trust. What's next? Document everything officially. Open a formal investigation. Be prepared. This could get ugly fast. I spent the following week building an airtight case. Every piece of evidence was cataloged, cross-referenced, and verified through multiple sources. Richard's disability claim included 2016 medical records citing severe mobility limitations, while social media showed him competing in amateur golf tournaments throughout 2023 and 2024. Dolores' unemployment claims listed active job searches during periods when business licenses showed ongoing operations and reported income. By Friday afternoon, Janet called me in, along with 2 other investigators and a representative from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Lisa, meet Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael Chen. He's handling your in-laws' prosecution. Chen was younger than I expected, but his reputation for aggressive fraud prosecution was well known. Ms. Harper, I've reviewed your investigation. Exceptionally thorough. We're moving forward with federal charges. What are we looking at? Multiple counts: Social Security fraud, unemployment fraud, mail fraud, conspiracy. Given the scope and duration, significant prison time and full restitution. My phone buzzed with a text from Jake. Mom and Dad want dinner tomorrow to discuss Tommy's situation. Can you give them an answer? I showed Janet, who smiled grimly. Perfect timing. You'll have an answer. Saturday evening arrived with inevitable weight. Jake was setting the table when the doorbell rang and Tommy's excited voice greeted his grandparents, who came bearing a new puzzle. Richard and Dolores settled in with the comfortable authority of people accustomed to getting their way. Richard carved roast beef theatrically while Dolores complimented the side dishes with faint, somehow condescending praise. So Richard said, passing the vegetables, have you considered our proposal? Jake looked between us curiously. What proposal? Your parents want to become Tommy's representative payees, I explained calmly. They think they can manage his benefits more effectively. Oh, Jake's brow furrowed. Should we consider that? Actually, I said, reaching for my purse. I did some research this week, learned some interesting things about representative payee responsibilities and benefit fraud penalties. I pulled out a manila folder much thicker than Richard's party version. Did you know that fraudulent use of disability benefits carries federal penalties of up to 20 years in prison? The room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Richard's fork paused halfway to his mouth. That's rather extreme, Dolores said carefully. Is it? I opened the folder and laid out photographs. Because I learned that people fraudulently collecting benefits while concealing income face serious consequences. The first photo showed Richard mid-golf swing, his face bright with competitive intensity. Date stamp, 3 months ago. Nice form, I commented conversationally, for someone with severe mobility limitations. Richard's face paled. Lisa, what are you doing? I laid out more photographs. Richard roofing his garage, Dolores at business conferences, Richard loading furniture, Dolores cutting ribbons at boutique openings. Just sharing some interesting research about people claiming disability benefits while maintaining active lifestyles and running multiple businesses. Jake stared at the photographs, confused. Dad, you said your back was too bad to work. It is, Richard said weakly. These are just occasional activities. Occasional? I pulled out printed social media pages. According to Facebook check-ins, you've played golf 47 times this year. More than once a week. Dolores stood abruptly. We don't have to listen to this. Actually, you do. I remained seated, my voice perfectly calm. Because I'm a federal benefits investigator, and you've been committing fraud against programs I'm sworn to protect. The silence was deafening. Even Tommy looked up from his puzzle, sensing the tension. You've been collecting Social Security disability for 8 years while running construction projects and playing competitive golf. I continued in a professional, deposition-like tone. Dolores has been collecting unemployment while operating multiple businesses and earning undisclosed income. Richard's hands trembled. You can't. Your family. I'm also a federal law enforcement officer who took an oath to protect the integrity of benefits programs. I laid out business registration documents. Your catering business alone generated over $50,000 in reported income this year while you claimed unemployment benefits. Jake's voice was barely a whisper. How much money? I consulted my notes. Over $200,000 in fraudulent benefits across 8 years. With penalties and interest, they're looking at full restitution of approximately $400,000. Dolores sank back, her face ashen. We can explain. You can explain to the federal prosecutor handling your case. I slid business cards across the table. Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael Chen. very experienced with benefits fraud. Richard's voice cracked. Lisa, please, we're family. Family doesn't steal from disabled children, I said quietly. Family doesn't commit fraud against programs designed to help society's most vulnerable. We weren't hurting anyone, Dollars protested weakly. Weren't you? I leaned forward slightly. Every fraudulent dollar was a dollar unavailable for someone who actually needed it. Every false claim damaged the credibility of these programs and made it harder for legitimate beneficiaries to receive help. Tommy abandoned his puzzle, watching with wide, confused eyes. Jake gently suggested he play in his room. Once Tommy left, Richard tried again. What do you want? Money. We can pay back what we owe. Too late. The investigation is underway. Federal charges will be filed Monday morning. Dollars burst into tears, her careful composure finally cracking. We'll lose everything. The house, the properties, our reputation. You should have considered that before deciding to defraud federal programs for 8 years. Jake stared at his parents in shock and disgust. I can't believe this. Years of criticizing Lisa for not managing money properly, and you've been stealing from the government. It's not stealing, Richard said desperately. It's complicated. No, it's fraud, theft, and you tried dragging my disabled son into your scheme. The dinner that was meant to pressure me into signing over Tommy's benefits became a reckoning years in the making. Richard and Dolores Harper, who positioned themselves as financially superior to their struggling son and daughter-in-law, were revealed as common criminals building comfortable lifestyles on stolen government benefits. What happens now? Jake asked quietly. They'll be arrested within days, then a federal trial. They'll likely take a plea bargain to avoid the maximum sentence, but they're facing significant prison time and full restitution. Dolores sobbed openly. Please, Lisa, isn't there something we can do? Work this out privately. I looked at her with the professional detachment I'd used with hundreds of other fraudsters. You had 8 years to work this out privately. You chose to continue stealing instead. Richard made one last attempt. We'll disappear, move away, never contact you again. That would be fleeing to avoid prosecution. It would only make things worse. Jake stood slowly, his face hard with rare anger. I think you should leave, now. Jake, please, Dolores begged. We're your parents. You're criminals who tried stealing from my disabled son. His voice was cold and final. Get out of my house. They left without another word, their expensive car disappearing into the night, carrying 2 people whose comfortable world had just collapsed. Jake and I sat silently before he spoke. I'm sorry, I should have seen what they were doing. How could you? They were very good at hiding it. Will this affect Tommy's benefits? Not at all. If anything, this case will strengthen protections for legitimate beneficiaries. Tommy rolled back in, his adaptive wheelchair navigating smoothly around the furniture. Are Grandma and Grandpa okay? They looked sad. Jake and I exchanged glances. They're going through a difficult time, buddy. But it's not your fault, and it doesn't change how much we love you. Monday brought the expected news. Richard and Dolores Harper were arrested at their lakefront home on federal fraud charges. Local newspapers ran the story with their mugshots prominently displayed, detailing the scope of their fraudulent benefit claims and the ongoing investigation. The case moved through the federal system with impressive speed. Faced with potential 15 to 20-year sentences each, they accepted plea bargains requiring full restitution, substantial fines, and 5 years in federal prison. The restitution hearing was particularly satisfying. Richard and Dolores were forced to liquidate rental properties, surrender business assets, and agree to supervised financial monitoring for life. The total recovery exceeded $350,000, money returned to the programs they had defrauded. 6 months later, I received a Social Security Administration commendation for my casework. Tommy came with Jake to the ceremony, proudly wearing his best shirt and tie. After the ceremony, Tommy tugged on my jacket. Mommy, are you famous now? I laughed and hugged him tight. No, sweetie. I just did my job. Your job is helping people. That's right. I help make sure people who need help can get it, and people who don't need help don't take it away from others. He nodded seriously, as if that made perfect sense to his 7-year-old mind. That evening, Jake and I sat on our back porch watching Tommy play. His new adapted swing set had been partially funded by a special grant I'd helped him apply for. money available because fraudulent claims like his grandparents had been eliminated. Do you ever regret it? Jake asked quietly. Regret what? Destroying my parents' lives. I considered carefully. I regret that they made choices that destroyed their own lives. I regret that they tried using Tommy as part of their fraud. I regret that you had to learn about their true character this way. But you don't regret investigating them. No, I took an oath to protect the integrity of these programs. Tommy depends on these benefits. Millions of other disabled children and adults depend on them. When people like your parents steal from these programs, they steal from every legitimate beneficiary. Jake nodded slowly. I know you're right. It's just hard reconciling the grandparents who brought Tommy presents with the criminals who tried stealing his benefits. Maybe that's the most important lesson, I said. People aren't always who they appear to be. And sometimes, doing the right thing means holding people accountable, even when it's difficult.